Got to be birds flying higher in a sky more blue.
8 days a week, I love you.
I hope someday you'll join us.
Did you know Michael Jackson moonwalked before millions but never invented it? The truth behind this iconic move will blow your mind. What if I told you Prince recorded 50 songs in a week and made history with each track? His genius had no limits. 20. Billy Joel.
I forgot somehow time can make.
It's 9 o'clock on a Saturday. The regular crowd.
Did you know Billy Joel once got into a street fight and lost so badly he decided to take up boxing? Before he was the Piano Man, he was just a rough kid growing up in Hicksville, New York. But what happened next changed his life forever. Billy Joel didn't always dream of being a world-famous musician. As a kid, he was more into sports, especially boxing. He even won a few amateur fights. But after getting his nose broken, he decided music was a safer bet. His love for the piano started when his mother insisted he take lessons, but little did she know, she was shaping one of the greatest musicians of all time. By the time he was 16, Billy had joined his first band, the Echoes. His obsession with rock legends like the Beatles and Ray Charles fueled his passion. But his big break came in the early 70s, when his song Piano Man turned him into a household name. But Billy's journey wasn't all smooth sailing. Did you know he once tried to end it all with furniture polish? A dark moment in his life led him to a hospital stay, but he came out stronger, writing some of his best music. Billy Joel has never written down his lyrics. Everything he creates comes from memory and emotion. Imagine keeping all those legendary lyrics in your head. 19. Patti Smith.
Me now, baby, here as I am. Pull me close, trying. In my dreaming, well of an aspect, bright and fair.
She was once a starving artist, literally sleeping on park benches and eating whatever she could find. But her raw poetry and rebellious attitude would soon ignite a cultural revolution. Patti Smith didn't fit into the mold of a typical rock star. She was a poet before she was a musician. She devoured books, lived in cheap motels, and wrote endlessly. Her closest friend and artistic partner, Robert Mapplethorpe, encouraged her to explore music. That's when she realized her words carried a rhythm, a sound, a power. Patti's debut album Horses in 1975 didn't just introduce her to the world, it redefined punk rock. She wasn't screaming like other punk artists. Instead, she delivered her lyrics like poetry over raw, edgy instrumentals. And people? They couldn't get enough. She was also a massive influence on The Clash, REM, and even Nirvana. Kurt Cobain once admitted he was obsessed with Patti's album, and you can hear her rebellious spirit echo in his music. Patti Smith was kicked off Saturday Night Live in the 70s for refusing to censor her performance. But instead of being embarrassed, she laughed it off and kept going. That's the kind of artist she was. Unapologetic and bold. 18. Tina Turner.
Take a line with a love line, you know what it means. Need a lot of place and methods. Want a lot of time.
Did you know that Tina Turner's first taste of fame came after a shocking escape from an abusive relationship? Her story is one of survival, resilience, and becoming a powerhouse in the music world. But how did this young woman rise from the ashes to become a legendary icon? Born Anna Mae Bullock in Nutbush, Tennessee, Tina Turner's childhood wasn't easy. She was raised in poverty and spent much of her youth separated from her family. Yet, Tina always knew she had a voice that could shake the world. She first hit the stage in the 1950s as a backing singer for Ike Turner's band, and from there, things took off. But her true breakthrough came in 1960 when she released the iconic hit, A Fool in Love. But Tina's rise to fame wasn't easy. Her personal life was filled with chaos, and she spent years trapped in a marriage to Ike Turner, who was physically abusive. But in 1976, she finally broke free, escaping with nothing but her name and her unparalleled talent. From there, she went on to dominate the 80s with hits like What's Love Got to Do with It? In 1984, Tina Turner became the oldest female artist to perform in a stadium, proving that age is no barrier when you've got raw talent and power. 17. Cher.
I don't know why I did the things I did. I don't know why I said the things. Oh, hug him and squeeze him tight. Find out.
Want to know what Cher did before she became the queen of pop? She was once just a young girl from California with a voice that could stop traffic and a willpower that would shape her destiny. Cher started her career as a backup singer for her then husband, Sonny Bono. Their big hit, I Got You Babe, made them a sensation. But Cher wasn't content with just being Sonny and Cher's wife. She had bigger dreams, and soon she would become a pop culture phenomenon. Her early solo career was rocky. In the 70s, she faced criticism for her bold, unconventional image and her willingness to push boundaries. But it was precisely this willingness to be unique that turned her into an icon. In 1974, her hit Dark Lady topped the charts, and Cher became known for her deep, distinctive voice and fearlessness. Did you know that Cher has won an Oscar, a Grammy, and an Emmy? That's right. She's one of the few people to achieve what's known as an EGOT, an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. Cher is also known for her fashion choices. She once wore a black see-through outfit to the Oscars in 1988, making a statement that shocked everyone. That's Cher, always bold, always fearless. 16. Diana Ross.
If you should fall short of your desires, remember life holds for you one guarantee.
You might think of Diana Ross as the queen of Motown, but did you know she was a self-made superstar who once sang in her high school choir? That's right. Before her journey to fame, Diana was just another girl from Detroit with a dream. Diana Ross began her career as the lead singer of the Supremes, one of the most successful acts in Motown's history. In the 1960s, when women in music were often overlooked, Diana proved she had what it took to dominate the charts. The Supremes became the first all-female group to break through the pop charts, and it wasn't long before Diana was the face of the Motown label. But she didn't stop there. She quickly launched a solo career and cemented her place as one of the most influential pop and soul artists of all time. Her powerful voice and mesmerizing stage presence made her one of the most celebrated performers of the 20th century. But what many people don't know is that Diana was once rejected by Motown before she became its most successful artist. The rejection fueled her determination and set the stage for her rise to stardom. Diana Ross has performed with every major music legend, from Michael Jackson to Marvin Gaye, and she's known for making every performance unforgettable. Her diva energy is legendary.
Tired of expensive, low-effort script writers for your YouTube channel? Autoscripter.ai is the ultimate solution. Say goodbye to low-quality, poorly retention amateur scripts that fail to generate thousands of views for your channel. At a fraction of the cost, Autoscripter.ai helps your videos go viral. In just 3 steps, Autoscripter.ai creates a polished script tailored to your needs. Just input your title concept, select your tone and style. The intuitive interface makes editing and refining effortless, fast, smart, and trusted by hundreds of satisfied users who have already discovered the amazing tool. Start your free trial today and watch Autoscripter.ai transform your YouTube channel. Just click the link in the video description below now.
15. Aretha Franklin.
All I'm asking is for the respect with you. Just a little bit. Yeah, baby, just baby. Let your woman.
Do you know who the first woman ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was? If you guessed Aretha Franklin, you're absolutely right. But her journey to becoming the Queen of Soul wasn't as easy as you might think. Aretha Franklin was born into a religious family in Detroit, Michigan, and her childhood was filled with gospel music. At 14, she had already recorded her first album of gospel songs, and by the age of 18, she was signing with Columbia Records. It wasn't until 1967, with the release of Respect, that Aretha became a household name. This song became an anthem of empowerment and civil rights and solidified Aretha's place in the hearts of millions. Despite the struggles and personal tragedies, Aretha never stopped making music. She had a unique ability to turn heartache into the most soulful, powerful songs that still resonate today. Did you know that Aretha Franklin was a trained pianist? Despite her iconic voice, she could also play multiple instruments, which made her an even bigger force in the music world. 14. Bob Dylan.
Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. I'm not sleepy.
Got blood in my eyes for you, baby. I don't care what in the world.
Bob Dylan's voice may be raspy, but it has a unique power that has inspired millions. Did you know that Dylan's songs helped shape the culture of the 1960s? He wasn't just a musician, he was a spokesperson for a generation. Before he became the folk rock icon we know today, Bob Dylan was born Robert Zimmerman in Duluth, Minnesota. He had a deep love for music, especially rock and roll, but it was his early obsession with literature that truly shaped his musical style. His transformation from a regular college student to a legendary songwriter was not an overnight success. Dylan's first albums were overlooked, but once he released Blown in the Wind in 1963, he went from being a struggling artist to the voice of the counterculture. What makes Dylan so fascinating is that his rise wasn't just about great music. It was about his willingness to speak out against societal injustice. His songs became anthems for civil rights, anti-war movements, and freedom. Songs like The Times They Are A-Changin' became rallying cries for social change. Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016 for his contributions to songwriting, making him the first musician to receive this honor. 13. Stevie Wonder.
Writings on the wall. Baby, superstition. Time I went and said goodbye. I'm knocking on a shady door.
Here's something you probably didn't know. Stevie Wonder wrote his first hit at just 11 years old. It's incredible to think about how much musical talent was packed into that young boy from Michigan. Stevie was blind, but that didn't stop him from becoming one of the most talented musicians in history. Born Steveland Hardaway Judkins in 1950, Stevie's path to fame started when he was signed by Motown Records at the age of 11. With his natural ability to play multiple instruments, it was clear he was no ordinary child. In 1963, his debut album, The 12-Year-Old Genius, introduced the world to his extraordinary talent. By the time he was 18, Stevie was already a superstar, thanks to the release of songs like Fingertips and My Cherie Amour. What sets Stevie Wonder apart is not just his incredible musical skills, but also his ability to connect with people through his music. He mastered jazz, soul, funk, and pop, creating songs that resonated across generations. Stevie Wonder was one of the first musicians to incorporate the synthesizer into mainstream music, forever changing the sound of modern pop and R&B. 12. Jimi Hendrix. Did you know that Jimi Hendrix taught himself to play guitar and become a virtuoso without formal lessons? The sheer raw talent of this man has left the world in awe for decades. From a kid playing in his room to a rock legend who redefined the electric guitar, Jimi's journey is one of passion and self-determination. Born in Seattle in 1942, Jimi Hendrix had a rough childhood marked by instability, but his love for music was evident from a young age. He picked up his first guitar at 15, and by 18, he was already performing in local clubs. But his true breakthrough came when he moved to London in 1966. There, Jimi met the Experience, and his career skyrocketed. In 1967, he released Are You Experienced?, which included classics like Purple Haze and Hey Joe. Jimi was no ordinary guitarist. His skill was otherworldly. He was known for his ability to make the guitar sing, scream, and even cry, creating sounds no one had ever heard before. His legendary performance at Woodstock in 1969, where he famously played the Star-Spangled Banner, sealed his place in rock history. Sadly, Jimi's life was cut short at the age of 27, but his legacy lives on. His influence on guitarists, musicians, and music culture as a whole is immeasurable. Jimi Hendrix was also an accomplished songwriter. Many of his most famous songs, like Voodoo Child, were written by him, showcasing his creativity behind just his guitar skills. 11. Janice Joplin.
Some came along, honey, grand to hold on. That the grass always looks greener when you're looking at somebody else's.
Imagine being so unique that your voice could be recognized in the first few seconds of a song. That was Janice Joplin. Before she became the queen of blues rock, Janice was just a lonely, misunderstood teenager trying to find her way. And when she found her voice, she changed music forever. Born in 1943 in Port Arthur, Texas, Janice was an outsider from the start. She didn't fit in at high school, where she was often bullied for her unconventional looks and bohemian lifestyle. But her rejection of societal norms would later become her greatest strength. After moving to San Francisco in the early 60s, Janice joined Big Brother and the Holding Company, and the rest is history. Her voice was raw, soulful, and powerful, able to convey pain, joy, and freedom all at once. Her performances were legendary, intense, passionate, and filled with emotion. Songs like Piece of My Heart and Summertime became her anthems. Janice didn't just sing the blues, she lived them, and her fans could feel it. Janice's story wasn't without its challenges, including substance abuse, but her music remains timeless. She's remembered as one of the greatest female rock stars of all time. Janice Joplin was once described by Jimi Hendrix as the best white blues singer he had ever heard. That's high praise from the man who revolutionized rock music. 10. Elton John.
Look at it like it's forever.
Did you know that Elton John was rejected by record labels over 10 times before his big break? Now he's one of the most successful musicians in history. The rise of Elton John is nothing short of extraordinary. From a shy, awkward teenager in suburban England to an international icon, his journey to fame was filled with passion, hard work, and a little bit of luck. Born as Reginald Kenneth Dwight in 1947, Elton showed his love for music early on, starting piano lessons at age 3. By the time he was 15, he was already performing in local clubs, but his big break came in 1969 with the release of Your Song, which became his first major hit. It was the beginning of a career that would span decades, filled with chart-topping songs, dazzling performances, and unforgettable moments. What set Elton apart was his charismatic stage presence and his willingness to be bold and unconventional. His flamboyant outfits and larger-than-life personality made him a star both on and off the stage. But his music was what truly made him a legend. Hits like Rocket Man, Tiny Dancer, and Candle in the Wind solidified his place in pop culture history. Elton John is a passionate philanthropist, having raised millions for HIV/AIDS research and advocacy. 9. Bruce Springsteen. Here's a fun fact you might not know. Bruce Springsteen wrote Born to Run in one single sitting, and it's now considered one of the greatest rock anthems of all time. Known for his iconic storytelling and heartland rock sound, Bruce's rise to fame was anything but easy. Born in 1949 in Long Branch, New Jersey, Bruce grew up in a working-class family. His early life was filled with struggle and hardship, but his love for music and desire to escape his circumstances kept him going. As a teenager, he played in local bands, honing his craft. It wasn't until the early 70s when he signed with Columbia Records that things began to change. Bruce's debut album, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey, didn't make a huge splash, but his follow-up album, Born to Run, 1975, changed everything. With its heart-pounding sound and poetic lyrics, Born to Run made Bruce Springsteen a household name. Songs like Thunder Road and the title track became anthems of the American working class. Known for his high-energy performances and deep connection with his fans, Springsteen's music became the soundtrack of the 1970s and 80s. His songs captured the struggles, dreams, and hopes of millions. Bruce Springsteen is famous for his legendary 3-hour concerts. He's been known to play long sets, making each performance an unforgettable experience for fans. 8. Prince.
'Cause you got the burning desire. Been 7 hours, 13 days.
Did you know that Prince could play every instrument on his albums? Talk about being a musical genius. Prince wasn't just a performer, he was a one-man band. Born Prince Rogers Nelson in Minneapolis in 1958, Prince was a musical prodigy from the start. His parents separated when he was young, and he spent a lot of his childhood experimenting with different instruments, teaching himself everything from guitar to keyboards. By the time he was a teenager, he was already writing and recording his own music. Prince's first album, For You, released in 1978, showcased his multi-instrumentalist skills and unique sound. But it was his 1982 album, 1999, that truly catapulted him into superstardom, blending funk, rock, pop, and electronic music. Prince didn't just revolutionize sound, he also redefined gender norms and pushed boundaries with his flamboyant fashion and sexualized lyrics. In the 80s, his album Purple Rain became a worldwide phenomenon, not just as a record, but also as a groundbreaking film. Prince was known for his incredible work ethic. He would record songs in a matter of hours, sometimes creating 50 songs in a single week. 7. Madonna. Before she was the queen of pop, Madonna was just another young woman from Michigan with big dreams and $35 in her pocket. After leaving her small town, she moved to New York in 1978 with little money and no contracts. But what she had was an unshakable determination to make it in the music world. Madonna's breakthrough came in 1983 with the release of her self-titled album, which included the hit Holiday. It was just the beginning of her decades-long domination of the music scene. Madonna didn't just release music, she transformed the pop industry with her bold reinventions and constant pushing of cultural boundaries. Whether it was with her controversial Like a Virgin performance or her shocking music videos like a Prayer, Madonna was always ahead of the curve in terms of style, sound, and image. Madonna was more than just a pop star. She was a cultural force. From her hit singles like Material Girl to her groundbreaking tours, she became a symbol of empowerment for women everywhere. Madonna holds the record for most #1 singles by a female artist, and her music continues to inspire new generations of musicians and fans alike. 6. David Bowie.
Ziggy play guitar. I hope someday you'll join us.
Did you know that David Bowie changed his name multiple times before settling on the iconic one we know today? Born David Robert Jones in 1947, Bowie's early years were marked by a search for identity that would define his legendary career. Bowie was always ahead of the curve, constantly reinventing himself and his music to stay fresh, innovative, and unpredictable. In the early 1970s, Bowie introduced the world to Ziggy Stardust, an androgynous rock star from another planet. This alter ego allowed him to explore his interests in gender, identity, and outer space while creating some of the most groundbreaking music of his career. Songs like Space Oddity and Starman captured the imaginations of fans worldwide. But Ziggy was just the beginning. Bowie's chameleon-like ability to reinvent himself over the years became legendary. He moved seamlessly through genres from glam rock to soul to electronic, each time pushing boundaries. Albums like The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, Young Americans, and Heroes are considered masterpieces. David Bowie didn't just follow trends, he set them. His influence goes far beyond music. He shaped fashion, art, and pop culture, inspiring everyone from Lady Gaga to Trent Reznor. Bowie's ability to evolve made him an immortal icon, and his legacy lives on through his timeless music. Bowie's fashion choices were as revolutionary as his music. His style has been credited with influencing modern-day fashion icons, even making him a style muse for designers like Jean-Paul Gaultier. 5. Whitney Houston.
I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Winter storms have come.
Here's a fun fact for you. Whitney Houston's first performance was at the age of 11. She sang in church, but nobody could have predicted that this young girl from Newark, New Jersey would go on to become one of the greatest voices in music history. Whitney's rise to fame was nothing short of meteoric. At just 19, she signed with Arista Records and released her debut album in 1985. With hits like How Will I Know and The Greatest Love of All, Whitney quickly became the best-selling female pop artist of all time. But it wasn't just her voice that set her apart. It was her incredible range, emotional depth, and unmatched power. In the 1990s, Whitney took her success to new heights with the release of the Bodyguard soundtrack, which featured the iconic ballad, I Will Always Love You. The song became an anthem, and her version is still one of the best-selling singles of all time. Whitney's influence on R&B, pop, and soul music is undeniable. She was a pioneer, breaking barriers for women of color in mainstream music. Despite facing personal struggles, Whitney's legacy as a voice for the ages lives on. Whitney Houston was also an accomplished actress, earning her a Golden Globe Award for her role in The Preacher's Wife and even starring in a critically acclaimed film, Waiting to Exhale. 4. The Beatles.
8 days a week, I love you. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed any.
Did you know that the Beatles went through over 10 different band names before finally settling on the one we know today? From the Quarrymen to Johnny and the Moondogs, This iconic band went through several phases before becoming the global sensation that changed music forever. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr formed the Beatles in 1960, but it wasn't until 1963 that they became an international phenomenon with the release of Please Please Me. At that time, rock and roll was changing, and the Beatles were at the forefront, pushing boundaries with their sound. With their early hits like She Loves You and I Want to Hold Your Hand, they took the world by storm, and soon their fans were screaming louder than ever. But this wasn't just about catchy songs. It was their innovative approach to music and their influence on culture that set them apart. The Beatles didn't just create songs, they redefined pop music. As they evolved, so did their sound. From the harmonious pop of Rubber Soul to the experimental sounds of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, they were constantly innovating and exploring new ideas. The cultural impact of their music, style, and philosophy was unparalleled. The Beatles' reign as the biggest band in history lasted throughout the 1960s, and their music still resonates today. The Beatles hold the record for most #1 hits on the US charts, 20 in total, a record that still stands today. 3. Freddie Mercury.
Can somebody find
Did you know that Freddie Mercury never learned to read music, but was able to compose some of the most intricate and beloved songs in rock history? He wasn't just the lead singer of Queen, he was a visionary artist who redefined what it meant to perform. Born Farrokh Bulsara in Zanzibar in 1946, Freddie moved to England at a young age, where he began his journey in music. As a teenager, he joined the band Smile, which later became Queen. From the start, Freddie's incredible vocal range and magnetic stage presence set him apart from other rock stars. He didn't just sing songs, he became one with them, pouring his soul into every note. Queen's 1975 anthem Bohemian Rhapsody became a defining moment in rock history. But it wasn't just the music. Freddie's larger-than-life persona captivated audiences. Whether performing at Wembley Stadium or in front of a camera, Freddie's flamboyant style and passion for performance were infectious. He famously declared, "I won't be a rock star, I will be a legend." And he was right. Despite his early struggles with being openly gay, Freddie's confidence and musical genius transcended any barriers. Freddie Mercury was obsessed with opera and even collaborated with Montserrat Caballé, one of the world's greatest sopranos, to create the album Barcelona. 2. Michael Jackson. Did you know that Michael Jackson was just 5 years old when he became the lead singer of the Jackson 5? This child prodigy didn't just join a band, he revolutionized pop music as we know it today. From the very beginning, Michael's talent was undeniable, and by the time he hit his teens, he was already one of the biggest stars in the world. Born in 1958 in Gary, Indiana, Michael Jackson's early life was shaped by his strict father, who pushed him relentlessly. At 11, Michael and his brothers formed the Jackson 5, and they quickly became a chart-topping act. But it wasn't until Michael embarked on his solo career that he truly became an international icon. With the release of Off the Wall in 1979, Michael Jackson showed the world that he was more than just a child star. But it was Thriller in 1982 that catapulted him into superstardom. The album went on to become the best-selling album of all time, with unforgettable tracks like Billie Jean, Beat It, and the iconic Thriller music video, which introduced the world to his legendary dance moves. Michael was known for his innovative music videos, especially his signature moves like the moonwalk, which became an international sensation. Michael Jackson's music video for Thriller was the first ever to be inducted into the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. 1. Elvis Presley.
Got to be birds flying higher in a sky more blue.
Did you know that Elvis Presley was so shy as a teenager he wouldn't even look anyone in the eye? Hard to imagine now, right? This once shy kid from Tupelo, Mississippi went on to become the king of rock and roll and forever changed the music industry. Elvis Presley's rise to fame is nothing short of legendary. In 1954, at the age of 19, he recorded his first song at Sun Records. It wasn't long before Elvis's unique sound, blending rock, blues, and gospel, caught the attention of the world. His first hit, Heartbreak Hotel, was released in 1956, and Elvis was on his way to superstardom. What set Elvis apart was his charismatic stage presence and groundbreaking performances. His iconic gyrating hips on stage scandalized America, but they also made him a global sensation. By the 1960s, Elvis had become more than just a musician. He was a cultural phenomenon. His Hollywood movies like Jailhouse Rock, alongside his countless hits like Hound Dog and Can't Help Falling in Love, solidified him as the face of rock and roll. Even after his tragic passing in 1977, Elvis's impact on music, fashion, and pop culture continues to be felt. Elvis Presley is the best-selling solo music artist of all time, with over 600 million units sold worldwide, and he holds the record for the most top 10 hits on the Billboard charts by a solo artist. If you enjoyed that, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an exciting story. Check out our other videos for more amazing legends, and keep the curiosity flowing.